Hello and welcome to our very first episode of our Walsgrave podcast, Window Into Walsgrave. The aim of this is to allow you to get a shot into what is going on here at Walsgrave, looking at some of the curriculum work that we're doing, our community partnerships, speaking with children, the main reason why we're here, and also having some highlights from some staff questions, and also what's happened throughout this term so far. We want to get out to more people. We want to be able to share the messages that we are delivering day in, day out. And we want to be able to share those with you. And we wanted to try something new. And we thought this podcast would be a great way of trying to do that. We'll develop it, we'll change it, we'll certainly want to get feedback from you. But we really wanted to try something different to share the wonderful Walsgrave messages that we are delivering on a day-to-day basis in this school. And also, it's Christmas, so we had to have an incredibly festive first version of this too. You will see many people wearing Christmas jumpers. You may even hear some jingles along the way, but hopefully you're going to hear something that is going to be of real interest to you, and it's going to be something that will give you a better feel of what is going on at this school and enjoy the celebrations from the children of what we deliver day to day. Really excited for our very first guest on the podcast. Somebody that I've been working with quite closely over the last few years now, I think it is.
Just
actually.
2 years.
2 years.
Yeah.
Feels like you've been a part of being here for a lot longer than that, which I think is lovely. But our first guest is, we spoke about what we were going to, what's your official title? I call you Tom, Rev Tom. What is the title we're going to use for you?
When I spend time with the children, Rev Tom is fine. Vicars are called all sorts of different things. Yes, we'll gloss over some of those. But yeah, I've been called all sorts of things over my time, from father to reverend to pastor to just Tom. So I don't mind what people call me.
Okay. I'm going to call you Tom.
Thank you.
I think that's probably what I call you more so than anything else. And it's lovely to have you here. Obviously, massive links with the school and St Mary's Church. And thank you for agreeing to come and be a part of this. I know that you've got a bit of history around podcasting and things like that. So I think you're a good first guest for me, I think, in lots of ways.
We've done a little bit, yes. Although it's not as elaborate and as glorious as this setup here. We've put out all the stops. I'd like to say it's certainly not me. We've got Martin Foley, who's in the background, who's been a massive help as a part of one of our trust members of staff, who is very keen on promoting and doing a lot of the promotions that you'll probably see on social media within the schools and across the trust as well. So I was hoping it would be lovely if you would open us in prayer for our podcast today. Yes, of
course.
Okay? God, we thank you that we have the wonder of technology to be able to communicate with each other. We pray that as we use our words and this time this morning, that we might spark something creative in somebody else's soul. May they be encouraged and inspired by some of the things they hear. And may we also grow closer in our friendship during this time. Amen.
Amen. So, first question, if we sort of linked to it a moment ago, you've been here for 2 years. What was your journey to being at St Mary's?
So, the journey to being at St Mary's or to becoming a priest in general?
Well, let us go for all of it. Yeah, go for it.
Okay. So, the journey to becoming a priest is quite a long one. So, for me, it started, about 11, 12 years ago. So, I've always had a sense that God was calling me to help lead churches ever since I was 16 years old. So I went through various jobs, various different things, but eventually I met with a wonderful gentleman called Ian Bussell, who my chaplain at university said, you need to go talk to this guy, he's really good. And so I did, and they said, you might be called to being a priest in the Church of England, which I thought was ridiculous, because firstly, I wasn't even in the Church of England at the time. I was in a Baptist church, so that was a bit weird. But when I met with Ian, he was so great at explaining how calling works. He was also really honest, and he said, look, if you want to explore vocation, another term we use to talk about calling, is similar with teachers. They're a vocation. It's a lifestyle.
Yeah.
It's a life calling. And then I'd have to change a lot of things and do a lot of things. So I did it all. So we moved towns to the right place to be able to go and learn and explore. Started going to a different church. I went through about 2 years of interviews and meetings and, reflecting, then groups. And then after that, I got through to a big interview. The big interview was 2.5 days residential, where you go off and you're quizzed on all sorts of different things. And then eventually after that, if you're successful, you then go off to college for 3 years. So then you have 3 years academic training, unless you're a bit older, over the age of 32, I think it is, then it's 2 years academic training. And then you come back from that. And you think, oh, that's great, you can get on with the job. No, you still got to go and do on-the-job training. So I like to see it like as the academic and the apprenticeship side. And that's when you do something called a curacy, where you do 3 years training with another priest. So for me, just the training, not all the interviews and bits before it, the training alone was 6 years.
And where was that based? Where were you doing your training and
So
curacy?
I did my academic training down in Bristol, and then I did my curacy on-the-job training in Cheltenham. And then when you come to the end of that, you look for somewhere to go. And it's much like any other job. You look in the newspaper and you see what's there. But we have a very specific newspaper. It's called the Church Times. And you look to the job section at the back, and you go through and you try and find something where you feel might be a good match for you. And then you apply. So I was looking for somewhere which had a church school. Definitely something that was in all the places I was looking at. I was looking for somewhere that was slightly more progressive and affirming of people of all genders and identities. And I wanted to come somewhere where there was space for growth, space to try new things and experiment. So I would like to say that Walsgrave just shone off the page, and it was the only place I applied for, and that was it. But that's not the case, because life is more complicated than that. So applying to St. Mary's here was the 4th place I applied to. And all the other ones I went to, I was always up against other experienced clergy, and I was just, one of them I just withdrew from, just didn't feel right. The other ones I said, oh, we've gone with someone else. But then when I came here, it was like 2 days after another interview. And I was not expecting to get this job either. Right. I was up against, again, other experienced clergy from other places. So I thought, you know what, I'll come here. I'll just be me. I'll be as honest as I can be. If it helps, great. If not, I didn't get the others. I might not get this one. Yeah. Oh, well. So I looked at the budgets. And one of the things I said in my interview was, do you know you spend more money on flowers than you do children? Oh. And I said, if I came, that would have to change. Because actually, one of the focuses for us as a church is young people. In fact, we've got 3 priorities at the moment. It's young people, small groups, and irresistible environments, because we want the church to be somewhere people love to be. Anyway, that's getting on to what we're doing now and some of the future. Yeah. So that was some of my journey to here.
And I think that I remember meeting you for the first time. I met with, I think there was 3 people that I met with, and I think what you said about you wanted the room for growth, the progressive element, and that certainly came through from the first moment I met you in particular. And I think that you can see how you've been putting that and implementing that on a day-by-day basis already, and I think that's quite exciting. I think it's been lovely to be a part of that journey with the growth that St Mary's is going through and working collaboratively, because we've done a huge amount of collaborative work already, and I think that's been something that we've certainly enjoyed and has added great value for our children in particular, because I think, like you said, that's a key thing that we certainly all have in common, that we want the best for the children and the community. And that's just been, it's been 2 years, but it feels like you've been embedded in there for so much longer, particularly for the children and the staff who really, really value what you offer them, both in terms of as a parent, because you are a parent here as well, but also as somebody that they can feel confident in talking to, whether it be for support personally, professionally, or just another voice to hear at times. And I think that's something that we've certainly valued to this point as well. So moving on towards how we've kind of been working collaboratively so far, there's been a lot that's been going on even in the last few weeks. Do you want to talk a little bit about some of the bits that you've certainly led on and supported the school with, some of the bigger projects that have been going on at the moment?
Yeah, so one of the things I'm really keen on is that children find joy and fun in faith. And that as they connect with it, they're not just learning the Christian stories, but they're learning from the Christian faith as well. And being involved and interactive and creative and all of that's really important for me. So we've done a number of things over the last couple of years. Quite lots of things from artwork for Stations of the Cross. That was about 18 months ago. And I say the last couple of months we've come in and we've done a whole day of prayer. So where all the children created prayer stations and then could come around in their classes and engage in creative prayer for that. And I know there are photos of that on both of our socials and things like that, so please do go and check that out. And also we've had the Star of Wonder exhibition that opens today, where we've had all the classes here, but also different groups from the community and businesses create stars. And they're all now suspended from the ceiling in the church, and they're looking glorious and beautiful because we want people to come in and be inspired this Christmas by the different things people do. And the children here have helped create that exhibition, which is amazing. And then we're doing things with the choir. So we're in helping with the choir at the moment. The children are leading the carols by candlelight service on the 21st with the children's choir from the school there. So we like to get really involved and all that on top of the normal assemblies and other things like that as well. And I do love coming in and do the assemblies because I like trying to overexcite the children and send them back to class.
And it's always appreciated by all staff involved as well. No, I think your assemblies are a highlight for our children and staff. They know that I think it was photo day one day, and they realised that the Rev Tom was delivering the assembly, and then the photos were, the joy from their faces was clear from all of the photos that were taken as well. And I think some of particularly if we were to the prayer for school day, that was something personally I found really powerful for the service after school. There was a part where we would go around and look at some of the group prayers for different areas of school, and I think the instruction was go where you feel is the place that speaks to you most. As I was walking around, I found that really quite overwhelming to where do I start with this? So I spent time going to each of those different stations, reading the prayers and reflecting on the importance of the role that we do.
Yes.
And I think that sometimes it's important to take stock of that, really kind of stand back and have the opportunity to think about like you said, the vocation that we've stepped into and the importance and the role that we have, not only for our children, for our families and communities as well. And that's been really powerful. I'm very excited about Star of Wonder as well. I think that we saw the ones that obviously the school have produced and know that there's been further from the community as well. So hoping we're planning as a school to go down, I think on the 12th of December, heading down to be able to see that, but encourage as many families and the community to go and view those as well.
Yeah, which they can do on a Thursday, Friday and Saturday between 3 and 5. And of course any other time. The church is open for services and things like that as well.
And I think that it's how open St Mary's is for people just to come in and see what is going on, particularly at this time of year. It's always open and available, but this time of year is really special. You mentioned the carols by candlelight. That's one that has become a firm family favourite for us. We've got family in Birmingham actually who started messaging probably start of November. When are the dates coming out for this? We need to come along for this. So we're all signed up. I think we're signed up for both the choir led and the brass band version as well, which is very exciting.
Well, what's been fantastic, so this is my third Christmas here at Walsgrave because I started October, so when you start just before Christmas you just sort of roll with it and start. The only thing I wanted to do when I started was reinstigate midnight mass and do a carols by candlelight service. So that first year we had about 100 people to it. The second year we stopped counting about 220 people because people just kept on coming in and we ran out of space and people were sat on tables in the foyer, and it was just wonderful to see the community wanting to come together. So this year we're hoping by doing 2 services of different types that we'll get more people in, but perhaps not quite as cramped as they were in that second year. And for me as a vicar, I know there's a lot of nostalgia, there's a lot of just the joy of wonder of Christmas, but actually for me, I get to talk about the wonder of what Christmas is about. So the Star of Wonder is our theme this year because we want to ask the question, what is it you're following? You know, those magi in Scripture, they saw something unusual, but something that gave them hope, that caused them to leave their home, to pack up a bunch of expensive presents, and then travel to an unknown place through dangerous lands, all in the hope of glimpsing something. Now, what is there in our lives that is that exciting and compelling that we're willing to follow? And that's what we're thinking about this Christmas.
I think it's nice knowing the meaning behind the Star of Wonder and why that comes together in the way that it does. And I think that the Christmas at St Mary's is going to be incredibly exciting. And you say about potentially trying to spread out people that come into church for their different services, or there's the people like me that just buy tickets to both. Yes. Means that we're there slightly more. But and that's wonderful about what is happening in kind of over the next period of time as well. But I know you've also got big plans for St Mary's as well as you move forward. Do you want to share? Is there anything you can share around that as well?
Yeah, we can share it. We've talked to the church about it, and everyone's being told formally this coming Sunday exactly what's happening. So we have been starting to grow as a church, which is fantastic. For example, when I first started, we had just under 20 names on our children's register, but now we've got 147. And that's young people engaging through the youth group, or parents signing up their kids onto our registers through church, or through Lego Church as well, that we have once a month. So that's a really obvious space for growth. But we've also seen the number of adults grow in the church as well. Now, we've wonderfully got a massive mix of people in our church, both culturally, but also background and experience of Christian faith. So we've got, for those who traditional liturgical church, where, you know, as the priest, I'm wearing the robes and we're processing in, that style of tradition really helps them connect with God and helps them worship, which is great. However, we also have a growing number of people for whom that isn't how they connect with God. Actually, they prefer music that wasn't written in the 17th, 16th, 15th century. They want something more contemporary. And also, it's not necessarily great for children to connect and really enjoy with. So we have sat back as a church and gone, we need to do something different. We need to make a change that honours the tradition we have and the past we have, but looks creatively towards the future. But also recognising I'm the only minister here. We've got limited people power and, you know, resources and all those sorts of things. So we decided to re-examine our Sunday worship and create more parts to it. So now, from January, if you come to St Mary's, you get choice. So starting from 9:30 in the morning, the first part, every part of our service is half an hour. You've got Holy Communion. The second part is all about learning. So how are we going to be inspired by the Bible and the teachings of Jesus? The third part is about being refreshed, both socially, with teas and coffees and biscuits and maybe even donuts in one day, but also spiritually, to spend some time in the prayer room or in St Raphael's chapel praying for other people or talking with somebody about how you're struggling maybe. So you've got that refresh part, then we've got a modern music part, and then we've got a family time. So each one of those is a half an hour long. Now, we're not expecting people to come to church for 2.5 hours on a Sunday morning, but what we're saying is choose the parts that fit your life at this time. If you've got half an hour to pop in for communion and that's what you need, pop in for communion at 9:30. Actually, if you want to turn up and start your morning with a bunch of biscuits, tea and cake or whatever else, and then stay for a good old modern, a bit of a Christian sing-along, and then a family time, that's a lovely hour and a half to spend on a Sunday morning. We're all done by lunchtime. So it gives people the choice of how they want to worship. They can sort of... a bit of mix and match, a bit of choose and what works well for you now. So actually you've got a little one at the moment. Yeah. So family time might be a great half an hour to be able to spend together. But, as she grows up, your situation might change and you might go, actually, this isn't suitable anymore. Maybe we want to go and do a bit more of this bit. And actually this gives people that choice. Now, it could be a horrendous idea. saying drop in and out over the 2.5 hours, whatever you need. But most people I've spoken to, especially those who struggle with the current way church works, have gone, actually, that sounds quite nice. I can do that half an hour. Or I like the idea of doing something more contemporary. And what I love is that it gives more people the opportunity to lead. Because church isn't about what the priest does on a Sunday morning. The church is about, on a Sunday morning, is about people gathering together to offer their worship. And I want more people to lead in that. So I've already got an 11-year-old lined up to lead the modern music. So they're going to pick 4 songs from YouTube, Christian songs that inspire them in their faith. They're going to explain it and lead it. And I love that.
I think it is really exciting, and you referenced the myself and my family, that we probably don't get up to church as much as we had done for a period of time. Life changes a little bit, but when you first started sharing these ideas, I think we're on a walk around Coombe Abbey at the point, that it really spoke to me. I was like, I would love to be able to come and bring my family to that element that really talks to me. That is the bit that speaks to me, and we enjoy that, because being in the church is so warm and welcoming, and I think that is something that I know I can go there and just be me. Naturally, I'm linked to the school, but when I know I'm going as a person, not with that title, which is lovely, and my family feel comfortable there, and being able to come and enjoy the elements that we really enjoy, I think is really powerful. And the fact that more and more people potentially are going to then be able to lead on elements of that is really exciting. Yeah. I wish you the best of luck with it. I know that I'll certainly be a part of that in terms of enjoying what Sunday has to offer in a very different way. So it is exciting.
Excellent.
It is, and I realise that you've given up quite a bit of your time on a very busy period of build up to Christmas. So I just want to thank you for your time this morning, Tom, and very excited for not only the work that we'll continue to do in collaboration, but seeing the journey that St Mary's is going on as well.
And we look forward to seeing how the school will continue to grow. We just love being able to be part of the school here. We've got a couple of foundation governors. We love coming in and spending time here, and just love the church being available to the children. Because actually, if we can help them explore faith and flourish within their education, then that's brilliant.
It really does feel like it's, in terms of, it's just down the road. It feels like it's an extension of what we do now, that it's becoming more and more embedded, the partnership, the collaboration, and long may that continue. Before we finish, Tom, I have got a question that I'm going to be asking everyone that I speak to today. It's a bit left field and not necessarily the questions that flow around what we've been saying so far. What is your favourite Christmas film?
Well, we've got a number. So, favourite Christmas film, I think for me, is Muppets Christmas Carol.
Okay.
It's what we play every time we set up our Christmas decorations. And we have an order to our Christmas decorating. I unfold the tree and put the lights on. My wife puts the tinsel on. The boys put the decorations on. And then we do the rest of the house. But we do all of that with hot chocolates, mince pies, and the Muppets Christmas Carol.
Nice. I like tradition at Christmas like that. You do. Everyone has their own different, unique ways of doing it. But Muppets Christmas Carol. Let's see how many times that comes up today as I speak to people. Like I say, Tom, thank you so much for your time, and thank you for all you do supporting the school as well. And I look forward to seeing how things grow.
Thank you very much. God bless.
Right, we've got our next guest with us here now, and we have got a bit of a curriculum focus, which is going to be quite exciting and hopefully really useful for everyone listening as well, where we're going to have a little look and deep dive into English. When we say English, we're going to be looking and talking both about writing and reading. To do that, we have got our English leads with us. We've got Mrs. Neal, and with the jazz hands as well, and Miss Fallon, who will be taking on the role kind of full time from Miss Neal when she goes on to maternity leave, which is very, very soon.
Very imminent, exciting.
Not too imminent, I hope, but
staying
certainly on the way as well. So you've been working incredibly hard, both of you, to drive provision in the school. We're going to have a quick chat around reading and writing. Let's start with reading. What sort of things have you been doing this term to drive and push our reading provision forward?
So we're obviously really proud of our reading curriculum here at Walsgrave, but we wanted to drive it and focus it even better for this academic year. And particularly exposing children to more extended texts so that they are reading texts within their classes, they're getting that time to discuss them, and they are working through them as a class and enjoying them. I think that's the biggest thing that we want to promote, is the reading for pleasure and the enjoyment of reading, because I think we've found over the last kind of few years children might not be as reading as much, so we want to expose them to a range of engaging texts, but also texts where children feel represented. So we wanted to make sure we were getting that cultural diversity in there. So when we designed the curriculum as at a trust level, making sure that we've got relevant and engaging texts for the children, and not just ones that we've done historically. So that's been exciting.
So a lot of work almost before we even get to the point of teaching, actually the quality of the text and the resources that we want to share
and the
with children
curriculum
as well.
design, I think that's really important.
And as a part of that, obviously we're a part of the trust, we have a trust model of that, and then we're personalising for the school to represent our kind of
definitely,
cultural
because
diversity
each
within the
school is individual, so we have to make sure it's personalised. We have to make sure that we're giving teachers freedom as well. So if they want to move that plan around, they can, and discussing it with us, and hopefully we're the right kind of support to help teachers make those decisions. So we've introduced a new reading model. We've upped the reading, which is great. So we're now doing it 5 days. And I think children have been really excited about that. I think it's been great to get out and talk to children about reading. And it's become more forefront, so they can say we are reading every day with our teachers, which is brilliant.
And it links really well into what they then do with English as well. So the text that they're doing in English links to the text that they're doing in reading. So they're having like a bigger exposure to that text, being able to sort of dive deeper.
And the immersion within the text types as well.
And I think just walking around and seeing lessons in action, you can see the impact of that. Like, children are using better vocabulary, they are immersed in the text, they're invested in what they're reading, and that's what is really, really important. So it's not just surface level, it kind of filters through into their writing as well.
And that's very much been the reading text that we've thought about for particularly, say, Key Stage 1, Key Stage 2, but also had that focus on early reading as well with the phonics provision and how we've looked to update and modify the approach towards that too.
Yep, so we've had lots of training going on in EYFS and Key Stage 1, so all teachers have had updated training. We also invited parents in during the first half term, which was great to see so many here. I think we were quite shocked by how many parents we had coming through, and the children just loved having them in the lesson and showing them what that early reading looks like, what phonics provision at Walsgrave is like, and how fun and interactive it is. So that was really positive, and I think that's something we'd really like to drive going forwards into the new year, getting parents in to see lessons in action in Key Stage 2, getting them involved, getting them reading, and working with children, because I think that's what will have the biggest impact.
I think reading in particular is one that it's easier to pick up at home as well. So you can say, right, let's have a book, let's read it together. What's the book? What's it about? And have those good, rich conversations around it as well. So yeah, I think it was great, the engagement from parents. I think it's really important, that early reading, to ensure that they can really flourish with their reading as they move forward as well. So yeah, it was great to see so many parents. I know that we've got lots of events planned for the new year in 2025 as well.
Yeah. And Kit, Miss Fallon, I thought it'd be good for you to maybe go through some of the kind of the structure of our new 5-day model and what you've enjoyed as a class teacher.
Yeah, so introducing the new sort of 5-day model. So they have a half an hour session every day for reading, which follows then into English, so it links really nicely. And it's just a lot around fluency and expression and just that real exposure to just how you read a text, how you interpret the text, the word meaning. And I think the first session is just the teacher reads the text, and it's just my favourite sort of session as the 5, because you get to show that modelled and shared reading, and then as the week moves on, you can see that the children have picked up on those skills that you've demonstrated, you've modelled. And I think when we had a walk around the school, seeing all the different reading sessions that were going on, you could see that as well around the school, like children just picking up on things, different fluency and expression activities that were going on. It's just amazing to see.
Levels of engagement were really high, and I think that's what we were just so pleased to see. Children were so eager to talk to us about their reading,
They could recite some of the text that they were reading.
And just the vocabulary they were using. And we're really focusing on their expression, how they read the text, not just kind of robotic form, but how they make it come to life. And I think that will just impact them in so many different ways.
And so we've talked a lot about the impact of children in the enjoyment levels. We've started to see that, I guess, in terms of the assessments and things that we've got. What are your next steps? What are you thinking next for reading? What do we want to look to drive next within that?
I think what we need to make sure is that children are having physical books in hand. So we want to make sure that we've got class copies of text. So we're not just using extracts all the time, that children are following text as a class and having that time to discuss stories and what they like, and just making sure that we've got all those resources available. I think that would be the next thing.
Yeah, and then moving into the spring term after Christmas, sort of building up that parental engagement, inviting parents in to see this new reading sessions that we have 5 days, so that they can see the impact that it's having, maybe what they can do at home to support as well, to see how it's done in school.
And I think particularly because you spoke a lot around fluency, it's almost being able to model what do we mean by fluency too, because we always want our children to be able to read the words that are on the page, but are they reading it with fluency, with meaning, so they have not only the understanding of it, but they're also confidently able to articulate what it's all around as well. So that's very exciting. You've done a lot of hard work in your reading as well. And then moving on to the other side of kind of the English remit that you look after, around writing in particular, because again, there's been a big focus on writing. We want to continuously push our children's ability to be able to write with clarity, with purpose, with engagement. We have had kind of an external review of some of our writing as well, which was incredibly positive. So what have been the developments there, and what has been the outcome of that?
I think it just holds a greater place in our curriculum now. I think children are so proud of their writing, and it's really, we focus on all the elements, so the transcription, the spelling, the composition, and children are becoming really confident writers because they have purpose and they have the drive from the core text that we introduce them to. It feels more purposeful. They have real audiences in which they write for, so we quite often send writing off to different people, different authors. I know they love writing for parents and families, and getting that engagement from home is really, really crucial to helping children move forward and feel like their writing is actually going somewhere. It's actually being used. And I think, when we walked around the school and watched writing, it was just incredible. Teachers' subject knowledge, but also the way that children could speak about their writing and which elements they'd included was really impressive. Really it just shows kind of all the skills coming together, which is what we obviously ultimately want to see. So we were incredibly proud of that, and it's just wonderful to see children take such pride in their writing. They are desperate. As soon as you walk through the door there, can I show you my work?
Yeah, the books are absolutely stunning.
They're presented beautifully, and I think it's a really positive point.
And I think that what really stood out when we did have our visit not so long ago, in terms of trying to improve our provision and continuously reflecting on what is working well and where we could go next, the way the children could talk about with real depth around how they're constructing their writing and the way that comes into the work they're producing on a day-to-day basis was really pleasing, and it shows they're passionate about their writing, which is something that naturally is a bit of a journey to get to that point as well. So huge amount of work that's been going on there. What do you feel is going to be your big next step with writing?
I think it's just continuing to drive the love of writing and the stamina for writing, and not feeling like children are held back because of their spelling or their handwriting, but really, really breaking down those skills so that they feel in a writing session they can just get on and do. It's not those other little things holding them back.
And I think moving into the spring term, not to give too much away, but we might just we're looking at having a day around writing where the whole school sort of have a stimulus, but we won't give too much away about that now.
Not just yet, no.
Just giving teachers maybe a bit more freedom in choosing their writing journey, because like we say, we have amazing planning documents from the trust which we use and we personalise, but it's also important to give teachers that freedom of, what my class are really interested in is this, so let's go with that.
So it's almost led by the children than the teachers in ways. Say, actually, we enjoy writing about this. We'd like another opportunity to write about this, and how can we do that? But then also track it across the school.
Off timetable.
What does it look like in, say, nursery, in those early kind of points where they're first making their marks on paper to all the way to year 6, and how we can process what that looks like as well.
And building that like writing for pleasure. I think like Mrs. Neal said earlier about reading for pleasure, we want to build that writing for pleasure as well. So giving the children an opportunity to just write.
And I think particularly you can see that with the enthusiasm of the children, with the amount of competitions that we open up that they can then send off pieces of writing for. It's been amazing. We had last year somebody from the school win the Coventry Young Writers.
That was amazing.
Which was fantastic, but we're seeing more and more people wanting to take part in that, which I think shows that love of writing is certainly come through, which is not just necessarily something that's happened in the autumn term or just last year. It's been a progressive piece of work to really grow a love of writing as well. I just want to thank you both for all the work that you've been doing. Leading English, obviously, Miss Neal, you've been doing this for a good few years now, and Miss Fallon, you've been learning around what that looks like this year, ready to take on when Miss Neal goes and enjoys being a mummy of 2, which is very exciting. I do have one more question for you both before you go. It's probably not necessarily one of the most important in questions, but I think it tells us a lot about what you are as a person and what you enjoy. What are your favourite Christmas films? If I can I'll give you.
I mean, I'd have to say Home Alone 2.
Oh, well, I'd say I've got to go with the first Home Alone.
Yeah, I mean both, but the second one definitely my favourite Christmas film.
Big Home Alone fans.
Big Home Alone fans here. Big Kevin fans.
Big Kevin fans.
Kevin McAllister.
There we go. Right, thank you both very much for your time, and enjoy the end of term, and also, obviously, Mrs. Neal, the arrival of your new baby, which is very, very soon.
Thank you.
Exciting. Thanks both. Right then. You okay, Miss Bratt?
Yeah, I'm fine, yeah, sorry.
Thank you for agreeing to take part in our very first edition of Ask the Teacher. You weren't really sure what you were volunteering for, but I appreciate that you want to come and take part in this. So I'm going to introduce what we're actually going to be doing now. We have got 7 questions from 7 children in 7 different year groups.
Wow.
They just want to know a little bit more about you. And we have lots of different types of questions that I haven't told you about just yet. So a little bit of pressure to see what they're going to ask you. And then I do have a question at the end as well. But mine's a special one at the end that I've asked every member of staff, so it's not just you.
Oh,
do you think you're ready?
I think so.
Are you sitting comfortably?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Yeah. I think we've got our first contestant who is ready and raring to go. Ready to go. So I'm going to go and get them. We're going to do a quick bit of swapping of the chair.
Exciting.
So let's get the first question up and running.
Let's do it.
What's your favourite dinosaur?
Wow, my favourite dinosaur is a T-Rex. What's your favourite dinosaur?
T-Rex.
Can you do a T-Rex impression? Rah! Yeah, love it.
What is the classroom like in year 6?
The classroom is probably very, very different to your classroom. What do you think might be different to your classroom? Maybe the chairs. I think the chairs are going to be a lot bigger, aren't they? And the learning as well is a little bit trickier than what you do in year 1. But the children are just as lovely.
But I've done a very hard equal before.
Oh, have you done hard maths?
Yeah.
That's good then.
6 plus 7 is 13.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
Wow, well done. High five. Well done. Good maths. There we go.
What's it like to be a year 6 teacher?
It is amazing. It's definitely my favourite year that I've taught because we get to do so much fun stuff, especially at the end of the year, like the end of year show, which your brother was in last year, wasn't he? And that's just so much fun. So I absolutely love it. And the children are wonderful. Hi, Dexter.
Hi, Miss Bratt.
Hi. Have you got a question for me?
Yes.
Go on then.
What's your favourite chocolate?
My favourite chocolate bar? Oh my goodness, that's an absolutely fantastic question. I think I'll have to say a Milky Bar. I love white chocolate. That's my favourite. Hi, Scarlett.
Hi.
Have you got a question for me?
Yes, I have.
Go on then. I think my favourite colour is probably pink.
My
Because
favourite colour's pink.
oh, amazing! Let's have a high five. We're like twins, aren't we? Yeah, twins who love pink. Love it. Thank you. Hi, Darren.
Hi, Miss Bratt.
Have you got a question for me?
Yes.
Go on then.
What is your favourite lesson to teach?
That's a really, really good question. I think my favourite lesson to teach is probably theme, because we have so much fun and can make some really, really amazing things as well. Hi, Hawaga.
Hi, Miss Bratt. I'm from 4D and I'm here to ask questions.
Amazing. Go for it.
When did you decide to be a teacher?
Okay, so when I was a little girl, I've always wanted to be a teacher. And I used to go to my granddad's house, and my granddad built me a desk and put a whiteboard in my wall so I could pretend to play teacher with all of my toys. So I've always wanted to be a teacher.
What inspired you?
I had some amazing teachers at primary school. My favourite teacher was Miss Morgan, and she was brilliant, and she was just so amazing. With my year 5 teacher, and she helped me with all of my drama as well. So yeah, lots of brilliant teachers inspired me. Hi, Gabby.
Hi.
Have you got a question for me?
Yeah.
Go for it.
If you were a teacher, what would you be?
That's a really good question. I think I'd probably be a baker, because I love to make cakes and decorate them. So I'd probably have my own little bakery and do that.
That's pretty cool.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Hi, Macaulay.
Hi.
Have you got a question for me?
Yeah.
Go for it.
What's your favourite musical?
That's a really hard question, because there's so many to choose from. But I think probably at the moment, Wicked, because I went to see the film last week and it was amazing. So I think that's probably my favourite right now. Hi, Mr. Salvi.
Hi, Miss Bratt.
Have you got a question for me?
I have got a question
Go on.
for you. What is your favourite Christmas film?
Oh, my favourite Christmas film has got to be The Holiday, because I'm a bit of a sucker for a romance. So.
The first one that said The Holiday. Everyone said a different answer so far, so that's really good. Thank you, Miss Bratt, and thank you for
okay.
being our first participant in Ask the Teacher.
Yeah, it wasn't as scary as I thought, so I really enjoyed it. It was really nice.
Even the
talking to
T-Rex
children.
impression.
Even the T-Rex impression, yeah. That was probably my favourite, actually.
Thank you very much for your time. So we're trying something different. Obviously, this week we probably won't have the Walsgrave Weekly going out, but we still wanted to share those amazing messages from the children. So we thought we'd have a section of the podcast where we spoke to the children about their highlights, not only from this week, but from the whole of the autumn term. There have been plenty of them, and the children were really keen to share them with us. So here's a few of them. See what you think.
My favourite thing at school was when I gone to my trip at Kenwick Chase Museum. We get to see a funny puppet show, and we made peg dolls. And we made up a toy dance. Hello, my name is Bria, and I really love the nativity, and that's my favourite thing here. And because I like it, it's very fun and very exciting. In the nativity, I was an angel, and I really liked it. Hello, my name is Brianna, and what I loved recently in my school was my singing at the hospital while I was at Light Camera Action, and practicing for the real show that I'm gonna do to my mom and dad.
My name is Maya, and my highlight of this school term is English, because we've done loads of good stories and books, and it's really nice, because we can do handwriting, what's also kind of a part of English. And my favourite book in English has been The Christmas Carol.
My name's Amelia, and this time I've really enjoyed PE. I took part in an athletics competition. In the athletics competition, I did over and under and obstacle relay.
My name is Freddie, and in school I've enjoyed multiplying and dividing fractions by integers.
It's lovely to listen to the children share their highlights and their best moments from the autumn term. And I think it would be great just to take a few moments to reflect on some of the other great memories and moments that Walsgrave have been a part of this term too. I think one that really stands out to me is being a part of a significant event in the diocese when we were a part of the new Bishop of Coventry being announced, Bishop Jelly. It was great to meet her. We exchanged a gift with her as well, which was lovely, and we're looking forward to welcoming her to Walsgrave at a point in the future. I think continuing on with the collaborative work that we have been doing with Rev Thomas, we spoke about earlier, the Prayer for Schools event, the Star of Wonder that is building, have been wonderful events to be a part of. We've also had new staff join the school in the autumn term, and to see them going on and flourishing in their new roles, or existing staff taking on new roles and flourishing in those as well. It's been lovely to see the developments within them, and then seeing our children then flourish as a result of that. I think the way the children have talked about different things this morning, they've articulated their highlights, feeling confident enough to come into an environment like this and ask Miss Bratt a lot of questions. There's been so much that has worked so well. The teachers, staff, school have worked incredibly hard together. It's a long old term, the autumn term, but we continue to come together, and we've got some lovely events still in place as we build up to the last few days of the autumn term as well. So Walsgrave continues to be a very special place for me and for so many. And we look forward to sharing many happy memories as we move into the spring term and beyond as well. As you know, we are a part of a multi-academy trust, the Inspire Education Trust. We have 7 primary schools and a secondary school. And as a part of that, we wanted to have some trust involvement within our first podcast. And we thought there'd be no one better than our CEO, Lois Whitehouse, to say a little message for us all at this time of year as we get ready to break up for Christmas and think into the new year as well. So here's a little message from Miss Whitehouse.
Thank you, Mr. Selby, and it's really fabulous that you have invited me here just to say a few words for this inaugural podcast video that you've been recording today, and it looks really great and exciting, and I'm really going to be wanting to listen to the feedback from all of your community around what they think of it. So Mr. Selby's just asked me just to give a few brief messages. My name is Lois Whitehouse, and I'm the CEO of Inspire Education Trust, and Walsgrave is one of the schools in our family of schools, and I think he's already mentioned that we've got 8 schools in total around Coventry and also in Warwickshire, and Walsgrave is particularly special to me because my children both attended Walsgrave School, and then they went on to Bluecoat as well. So I've known Mr. Sowerby and since he taught my younger daughter Emma. So he's been here for many years, as have myself, and obviously my deputy as well, Rob Darling. So as we approach the Christmas period, it's always traditionally a time for reflection on the previous year and all of the highlights that we have all been working hard on within Walsgrave and also across the wider trust. And we work really hard to ensure we have that deep and purposeful collaboration across all of our schools, because being part of a multi-academy trust means that our pupils and our staff have those wider opportunities to work outside their own schools. So some of the great examples of the things that our pupils have been able to do have been around some dance competitions and some sporting competitions, drama opportunities visiting Walsgrave. So pupils have been able to go to Bluecoat School and be involved in some of their productions there. So for example, Walsgrave pupils were really excited to be part of the Black History Month celebrations that happened in the school. So they had the opportunity to really get to see that real life theatre experience, which is really great, and otherwise some pupils wouldn't necessarily have the opportunities to do those things. Being part of a multi-academy trust is great for our staff as well, because that gives our staff opportunities for the wider development and cross-learning from individual schools that really benefits our pupils in our classes every single day. So as we approach Christmas, I'd just like to thank everybody involved within the school, whether your role is as a parent, whether it's as a volunteer, whether you are a school governor, or indeed our own individual staff who work incredibly hard every single day to ensure that our pupils get the best possible experiences. So thank you, everybody. Thank you for everything that you do, and Merry Christmas.
And with that brings the end to our very first episode of Window Into Walsgrave. I hope you've enjoyed it. It's certainly been something different for us, and we've really enjoyed putting it together. Speaking to Rev Tom this morning about his developments within St Mary's, the collaborative work that we are doing was really insightful and really quite exciting. I hope few people join him down on a Sunday to see his new way of delivering worship. We've had Mrs Neal and Miss Fallon, who have shared all of the developments within the reading and writing curriculum we have here, and some exciting goals moving forward too. We had our wonderful questions from our children, putting Miss Bratt through her paces and asking some very interesting questions along the way. We've also had our wonderful children sharing their memories of the autumn term, their highlights, the things that they've enjoyed most. And with that, we know what we want to offer more of for our children, so we'll continue to do that. But again, I want to reiterate the importance of this podcast. This podcast is not just for us, it's for our community, it's for our parents, for our children, and wider and further afield as well. So we do want your feedback. We want to hear about the things that you really enjoyed. We want to hear about the things that you would like to hear more about and get a vision of within our school. So we will be sending some feedback out, and we'd really appreciate that to come back to us so we can shape what this looks like moving forward. We aim to do another one in the spring term, which will allow us to showcase what we are doing there up to that point, but then also thinking about our wider community contacts who we're going to be speaking to then, and maybe putting another teacher through their paces with some questions as well. So I really hope you've enjoyed listening in to this very first episode of Window Into Walsgrave, and we look forward to sharing more of these with you in the future. Bye now.